What's going on, guys? We're back. We're back with the beginner's guide. I know it's been a while. I can't even remember the last Pokemon I did. I think it was Emboar, or perhaps Florges. It was one of them. But since then we've had, as we're all aware, a new Pokemon game to the series in Sun and Moon. And with that come many new Pokemon. Well, I wouldn't say many new Pokemon, but a fair amount of new Pokemon for me to cover in these episodes. And as you'll see on the screen, this week we'll be taking Nihilego to kind of give you some insight into what's going to happen moving forward with some of these videos. I plan on covering the majority, around about 60 to 70 of the new Pokemon. A few of them are like pre-evolutions and things which aren't really needed to be discussed. They're just pretty much counted out. Stick them in a PU tier and be done with them. But I'll plan on doing 3 episodes a week. One on the Monday, one on the Wednesday, and one on the Friday. And we'll pretty much be starting off with the Ultra Beast, working down in terms of from the best to the worst of the Pokemon. But that's not to say that they'll be the worst, because you, like I've already kind of covered in some of my other episodes, you can get a really low tier Pokemon like Jolteon and really be effective with it. So yeah. And interestingly, this first Pokemon, in no way was this kind of why I went first with it, but I have drafted it actually. We have drafted in 2 of the other leagues, so the Pallet Town League and also the UBC, which I'm going to go into in more detail eventually, but I have kind of taken ownership of that along with Robbo, who is the main owner of the league, and another guy called Ryan, or X as some of you may know. We're kind of the main guys, and we've gone up to 16. But yeah. Anyway, we've done the draft. I've got Nihilego. As much as I wanted a few other Ultra Beasts, this was the one I managed to get my hands on, and I'm so happy with it. Although I've had my first game and I haven't used it yet, so that was because they had a lot of checks for it, etc., and it just didn't really fit into the team. But we'll jump into it. Firstly, I mean, I actually really like the design of this Pokemon. Naturally, it was the main one in the storyline in terms of an Ultra Beast, jellyfish kind of style. And yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting Pokemon. And to take, I guess, Tentacruel as a jellyfish kind of Pokemon, there's kind of some nostalgia there with the first gen. So I guess that kind of fitted in. But the stats on these, some of them, and the abilities are beautiful. But anyway, you'll see I've incorporated a few new things, or one really. But we'll start with the stats. So you can see the weaknesses there now, which wasn't in any of the previous episodes. But we'll start with the stats. Firstly, the special side is where it's at. 127 special attack, 131 speed F. So it makes it extremely, I wouldn't say broken, but viable and hard to break down on the special side. The physical side, it lacks massively. I think Ditto's probably got higher physical stats. And HP over base 100 are classed as good, so that's brilliant. And it's also awesome that it breaks my throat's really cracking up. I'm so not used to talking for this long. Yeah, the speed break in the 100 tier is absolutely crucial with this Pokemon. If it didn't, like a lot of the new Pokemon, I'm not particularly fond of the speed tiers that they fall in. But base 103 is absolutely amazing. And that's kind of the main reason why I picked it. So I looked at its Movepool, I looked at its speed firstly. Because Poison Rock isn't the best typing, as we'll go into towards the end. But yeah, offensively and also kind of defensively can be really effective. But yeah, in terms of weaknesses, that 4 times weakness to ground isn't preferred, because everyone. Ground is probably one of the most common types competitively, mainly because of the eras, and it's still going on of Volt Switch shenanigans with Rotom Wash and Jolteon and Raikou, gaining momentum through Volt Switch is extremely it's a good tactic. And also mainly people draft a lot of bulky water types like Suicune Who else am I thinking of? Vaporeon. Ones like that are pretty hard to break down without an electric type. Even grass, like one of the least offensive types, apart from Superior. Yeah. And then also the 2 times weakness to water, psychic and steel. Psychic is fine. I mean, you can kind of work your way around that. It's a good offensive typing, but it's weak to the common knockoff, etc. So it's not all that common. But water and steel, obviously, most people try and grab a good steel type because it walls fairies. Fairies one of the best typings competitively and in the normal run through of the game. So some pretty interesting weaknesses, but you can work around these. Naturally, you build a team to counter what you think your opponent's going to bring. So if you think this thing's going to be really good offensively, then just bring things that are going to wall the ground, the water, the psychics, and the steel types. They're not exactly hard. I mean, a grass type would wall all of those. Perhaps like a Tangrowth, because Tangrowth gets knockoff as well. Also get hidden power fire. And then Leaf Storm for the last 2, so something like that would go well with this Pokemon, I think. And then a lot of neutral things, so Electric, Grass, Ice, Fighting, Rock, Ghost, Dragon, Dark. So a number of effective typings, which makes neutral. Dragon being one, obviously, one of the most common. And then the resistances, which is probably one of the most important, is Fairy. So that's perfect. Resist fire, which is amazing, believe me. So switch into Entei, and then flying spam as well. So your Talonflame, which has been buffed, so it's not even as good anymore. But your Staraptor as well, things like that, which it can switch into and take it easily, and also normal types as well. So Chinchino can't run your team anymore. But yeah, that's really it. So I mean, to kind of summarise on weaknesses, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst, I'd say. They can be worked around, and the stats I think are perfect, honestly, for this Pokemon. I looked at the stats and thought it sums it up quite well. It's a shame on the physical side, but naturally, if you're going to have really high other stats, you're going to have 2 or 3 which are really quite low. But yeah, kind of jumping on it, just make sure of something. Oh, we still got something in the way. Oh, you can't see it, but never mind. Movepool and typical set, something that you've all seen before. Some of the most kind of notable moves, which I'm actually really happy it's Movepool. This is one of the main reasons I drafted it. So I looked through, I saw the typical Sludge Bomb, Power Gem, the stab moves. I was like, it's expecting those, and then you go deeper into the moves. It gets Dazzling Gleam. So it gets Fairy coverage, which is amazing. So a massive special attacker with a Fairy type move, brilliant. You got both Psychic and Psyshock, which is amazing. And T-Bolt as well. So if it didn't get Thunderbolt, this thing would be walled outright by water types, but it's not. You get Thunderbolt to at least take on a Skarmory. You can take on a Suicune. You can take on a Vaporeon now with Thunderbolt. They're going to fear you. The only thing you have to worry about is ground types mainly. That's the biggest issue. But again, this thing makes hidden powers viable with the massive special attack, and also the beast boost as well, which we'll go into in a bit. But yeah, there's a lot of support moves with this Pokemon as well. So not only can it run offensively and just straight out defensively, but it can also run kind of more supporty kind of set with your Stealth Rocks, your Toxic Spikes, your Thunder Wave, your Light Screen, your Reflect. So 5 of the most common kind of support moves in the game, which is brilliant. I mean, if this thing got Prankster, then it'd be broken. It really would. And that's another thing. I don't think this Pokemon would be banned at all. There's many other Pokemon which are used in League, like Kyurem and Black, which break things down one by one, and that's still alive, that's still going. In terms of viable sets, 2 main ones which I've put in offensive and support. I wouldn't typically use this defensively because of the common ground, your common steel. Those ones, it probably wouldn't fit into a defensive core all that well. But in terms of offensive, I've put Sludge Bomb, Power Gem, Thunderbolt, naturally 3 moves which I'm probably always going to carry on this Pokemon. And then one of the hidden powers, either Ice or Fire. Ice for your ground types, and Fire for your steel types. Either one of those, depends what you're going up against. And there's 4 potential items on these new Pokemon. There is the option of running Z moves, as well, Z moves, Z moves, Z moves. One of them. But I mean, I'm not a massive fan of them. If I'm brutally honest, it takes some aspect of planning out the way, because you can just get obliterated by a devastating Draco or whatever they are. I'm not really a massive fan of using it on Showdown, so I may incorporate in one of them, but it's pretty straightforward. If you want to run a Z move, then put the item on it and click, and make sure you've got the move that with the same typing that represents the item, and do that way. But I'm not really a massive fan, not yet anyway. So I've put some neutral items, which Air Balloon, obviously to switching on an EQ would be nice, and then HP Ice a Don Fan or something like that. And then you got the Spec Set. Spec Set's kind of nice, except for you are probably going to find a ground and a steel type on the same team potentially, to easily take this thing on. So you don't want to be locked in a move and keep switching around, especially if they've got hazards, because it will become a pain. Life Orb is a good option, and the last option, which is Assault Vest, I find that probably although it gets a lot of SPDF, but you can perhaps invest some in defense if you want to run an Assault Vest set. But yeah, I'd say it's viable. And then the ability, Beast Boost. So for those of you who don't know what Beast Boost is, it raises your highest stat by 1 when you kill a Pokemon. So if you're running max special attack Modest, then if you switch in and kill a Tangrowth, you'll get a +1 special attack boost, which is amazing. So every time you then kill something, you get +1. So it's almost like a sweeper, but with the ability just set for you to do that. There's no way of changing that. It could become a sweeper, it could become a defensive rock that just can't be taken down. So I really like that ability. It may become broken. We may find that it becomes tough, and that's what may ban Ultra Beast. But at the end of the day, we'll just enjoy it while it lasts. I say. And yeah, Modest, Timid, depends if you want to get that beast boost in terms of speed or special attack. And EVs, special attack and speed, probably for an offensive set. You could run a HP, max HP, max speed, if you want more of a bulky option. But I mean, you're probably going to be running, because it breaks the 100 barrier, to outspeed base 100s, and 101s and 102s, and speed type 103s. You're probably going to run Timid, 252 speed, majority of the time. And yeah, I mean, the other set was Support, which obviously went into before, so you kind of mix it up how you want. You can either run Rocks and Spikes if you see an opponent with not very many hazard removal options, or you could run T-Spikes Thunderwave or Rocks Thunderwave. It depends. There's so many support options available. Naturally, I'd obviously run offensive moves as well, whether it be 1 or 2, or even 3 on a support set. Perhaps you want to run Rocks 3 attacks. That's what I mean. It's so viable. There's many different sets that you can run. And on more of a support set, I'll be running probably Leftovers, or Citrus, or whatever you feel. I feel more defensive sets you're probably going to want to run at Longevity. So anything that gives you HP back every turn is brilliant. Can't change the ability, so Beast Boost. Probably Calm, so plus SPDF, minus attack, and EVs, max SPDF, max HP. But I mean, if you could run a max defense, max HP if you're happy with the SPDF in this, but you probably only want to use this as a special, or you don't want to be running this on the physical side, because it just will get destroyed. It'll absolutely get destroyed. I think that really sums it up on Movepool. I'm really happy with it. I personally can't wait to use it in a match, and I'm really happy with how many viable options there are for this Pokemon. Beware, for those of you who are going to play against it or are going to play with it, this thing has some serious power. And then finally, Probably the bit which most people like is the for and against. As you'll see, you might be classing me as a bit biased because I've drafted this thing, and I obviously want to back up my opinion that it's good. It's actually, even if I didn't draft this, and I promise you this, I couldn't think of any more against. Some of you guys may, and be my guest and put them in the comments. Send me a message and tell me I'm an idiot and you need to put this in because it's really weak to it. Or, but I mean, on the for side, it's a fairy check, and that's so crucial. It's viable offensively and defensively, or more offensively and support wise. I'd probably say in there. I probably made a mistake there. You got brilliant support options, so you got pretty much them all, apart from the likes of Memento and things like that. Oh, throat's gone again. And then we've got the amazing ability, so Beast Boost, so it can clean up, completely clean up, getting +1 in special attack or speed every time, or it become ridiculously hard to take down. Perhaps make it max physical defense bold, and then just beef every attack out there. If you run an assault vest, bold, max defense, with the idea in mind to take something down and then see what people react to that. Like, I might run that set one day. But yeah, that's it on the for side. I could think of a few others. I can't right now. Was it coverage? Yeah, perhaps coverage will be another one in there. Coverage like Thunderbolt, brilliant. Psychic Psyshock, brilliant. Dazzling Gleam, amazing. So on the against side, it's poor on the physical side. We've been there. We've talked about it, and it's obviously weak to a number of the common types, which isn't amazing. It's especially on a defensive set or even a support set. But you know what? It's a good typing. Rock's good. You can take out bird spam. Poison's good. You can kill those grass types. You can kill those fairy types. And it is tough to switch into. You're not always safe. That look is I can easily switch into my Donphan here. Oh, what about Hidden Power Ice? And then it'll outspeed you, and yeah, it can be quite a scary Pokemon to deal with. So beware. Apart from that, I think I've oh no, there was one thing. I actually asked some people in my league, what other things have you got to add? And someone added that it looks like, and see if you agree with this. Apparently, it looks like a Pokemon from. It looks like. No, the name of it sounds like it's from Lord of the Rings. So Nihilego, Nihilego from the Shire. What do you guys think? I'll leave that one with you. A few of the other guys, well, one of the other guys said it's got brilliant support options, which look for its Movepool. That's kind of obvious. So, yeah, I think that's everything, guys. I know it's a bit of a long video, but I have obviously had a lot to say. I really like it, and there'll be more to come. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for